Been there, done that, know what's next. Life's a journey, never complex. A lifelong student, educators call, guiding future, standing tall. Conscious parenting, full hat on tight. Drove through decades, walked away for rights. From the motion pictures to the cosmic light. Contactee's journey, universal sight. Attempting to put the human back in humanity. Mic check, 1, 2, hear the clarity. Fascinated by the human experience. Sharing stories, breaking the silence. Human experience, hang out, come along. Kids, health, synaptic circle, singing our song. Random vlogs, life stories to tell. Each journey a beacon, wishing well. We all have incredible tales to share. Healing, activation, spreading care. Light the way, find the others. What's your mission, sisters and brothers? Attempting to put the human back in humanity. Mic check, 1, 2, hear the clarity. Fascinated by the human experience. Sharing stories, breaking the silence. Rise, humanity, unity we seek. Community sharing, synaptic circle unique. Be the solution with someone today. Assist in the rise, light the way. May the song lift whoever comes across, and may you do the same, no matter the cost. Spread the light, ignite the flame. In unity we rise, forever reclaim. Attempting to put the human back in humanity. Mic check, 1, 2, hear the clarity. Fascinated by the human experience. Sharing stories, breaking the silence.
Hi, hello there. Howdy and hello, and thank you so very much for tuning in. I'm Heidi Pop, and this is Amie Chilson of Adventures with Amie.
Hi, everyone.
And we're together on the same coast in the same time zone. We are taping from Santa Monica, California. Thank you to your lovely sister for letting us do this, by the way. This is super exciting for me. Amie and I have been dear friends online. We've done several shows together. I know what we were doing. We picked up on each other's authentic vibe. And
Yes.
We are content creators, being selflessly of service to others. We are just sharing our experience and our authenticity online. And we really gravitated towards that. So guess what? That's what our theme is today. So yeah, I'm excited for that. And here we are again. So I don't know how many shows we've done though. I forgot. I think
5 at least.
5 at least.
And then they were all really like impactful, powerful messages, I remember.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun.
Yes. And they also often went on, we're like, oh, we got to do this one now. We got to do this one now. So we've had a lot of tangents there. But the root of really, I think, who we are, as well as really what we wanted to focus on talking about together at the same time and keep it really raw, is being authentic and what that looks like, and how really that New Earth timeline is truly about authenticity. That goes with careers, that goes with your lifestyle, the people you choose to have in your life and everything. So we're probably going to cover all those things.
Well, we always have fun. So I'm really happy that this works. We made it work.
I know. And I love the wall. Thank you for this color.
Turquoise wall.
I know, it's beautiful.
Our lighting is a little hot. So if you see us getting sweaty here, it's not because we're intimidated by the content matter. It's just, it is cooking and we don't have AC in the apartment right now. So
yes. We also just went for a really nice walk and had a delicious Indian lunch. So might have a little spices coming through.
We were sweating while we were eating. So
and it might be a little full. But with that, thank you for the tea.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for doing this.
Little green tea.
Yes. And she inspired this too. She's like, I'm going to be in town, but let's not just do this. Let's do this in person. And that's part of the authenticity I love. So thank you.
Well, it's also how you and I met. We met online, Facebook friends. And then I was in town again. And you were going to the same Conscious Life Expo. And that's where we met for the first time in person. And I could just tell, I'm like, I felt like I knew you already. And it was just like, I've already met you. That was the vibe. And then we finally connected in person, got to have a good hug. You give great hugs. And then you came over here and we had a nice time as well. Great conversation. And you can just tell when you're around people, Heidi, and you're just like, I like you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm vibing. You're real. I'm real. There's no fakeness or hiding or any of that energy. Frankly, I don't like that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it exhausting. Back in the day when I used to play with some of that, not being fully authentic.
Yeah.
It's exhausting to me. So I choose to have in my life authentic friendships, authentic relationships, because I believe wholeheartedly you don't just show up in one part of life to be authentic, but fake in another. It's like relationships, communication, business. It's the whole holistic package. Don't you think?
Yes. And that's stepping into mission too. What I want to say when we met at Conscious Life, what was really funny is I was still dealing with some energy vampires and I had a person with me that was really leeching and draining me. And I was being polite. But when I met this high vibrating person, I was like, hey, like, I don't really have to be. I was like making excuses. I started texting her from the other room right away, being like, I know her, but that's not my tribe. Like, you're right. It doesn't match who I am. And I had a talk with that woman later on at the expo. And I said, this is the energy you're putting across. And she was even curt with you, having just met you. And I'm like, this is not cool. But I wound up being so thankful that I met another spirit that was just like truly in her own vibration, that I was able to then turn to this person and go, hey, just want to tell you, this is what I feel when I'm around you. And that person wound up going, wow, thanks for sharing that with me. Nobody ever shared that with me before. And we didn't become enemies or anything. She was just like, thanks. And it was like a teachable moment. And it was sweet. And I thank you for that, because it made me really pay attention to what kind of people you put in your tribe. And I think I'm watching you travel the world and you get to meet all these random people and have these energy exchanges and know who our tribe and who's not. And I know you were just on the East Coast with some amazing people. We're going to have to give them a lovely shout out.
We should. They deserve it.
Yes. And we're talking about you, Zach and Sue. Hello over there on the East Coast. And not only truly authentic, I feel like I know them. I haven't met them in person, but what I'm watching is their journey of taking a business. They're turning a business model into service to others. And they're making it such a high vibratory business that you're literally watching this energy. You know it's going to do well because they're doing it for others. And you got to go there yourself. What was that like?
I got to meet them in 2 states. So I've been friends with them for about 4 years online. The same how I felt with you. Like, I already know you. Like, haven't we met? Because that's what it felt like. Like really deep, honest, and authentic relationships. And so we met first at their 50-acre property, the Domes at Rainbow Ridge, which is their development right now for their Healing Retreat Center. I met them there for the property, and they have not had anybody up to the property outside their kids.
Oh, wow.
And I felt honored because this was our first time physically meeting, and we all just gelled and meshed like nothing else, like old friends from many lifetimes ago. And so for a couple of days, I was able to tour their property, spend quality time with them, really understand their vision, because I'm actually creating a film about the Domes at Rainbow Ridge.
Nice.
So I was filmmaking the entire time as well, getting them on camera, some interviews. And so I was able to see that firsthand and really see behind the scenes for them as well, their mission and what they have, already put into creating this amazing retreat center. And 50 acres is a lot of property to work with in development. And I get to see all the moving parts and pieces behind the scenes. And just a wonderful time with them. And they mentioned you a lot. We can't wait to meet Heidi Pop in person. I said, yeah.
Manifest.
Manifest, you will. Then they are the founders of now 4-time special event gathering called Dave Being. And this is done at Indian Shores on the Gulf in Florida. This was their creation. And just really, it's about attracting good people, tribe. No agenda. There's no fee. There's just good energy people that are like-minded. And we have a day together on the beach, fun, food, conversations, connection, sharing ideas, because that's really what you want to have when it comes to tribe. I have something that I say in my team. It's like, is someone cruise worthy? Meaning, if you could
Nice.
be on a cruise boat with somebody for 30 days doing everything together, like now you know you've got someone that's tribe. Right? I like this person. We really get along, and so that was a great event by them. I hope you come to the next one.
I know. I'm gonna put that out there too. I actually, when I started looking at the geo point, it's like less than an hour from my family. So I have family out there, Fort Myers. So I'm like, do a whole whirlwind, West Coast Florida. Why not?
Yeah, you could do a family trip and do the day of thing.
I would love to help too. Like that's the crew girl in me, and that is the service I like to do. So you're seeing also there's so much work that's done behind the scenes.
Yes.
We just are seeing the finished product, but Amie was working alongside Zach and Sue, and what they put into it, it's not just pulling up beach chairs and there you go. And that's kind of what's advertised, like making it easy for everyone to come. But there really are people at the helm putting something together. And it was a lot of work, you said.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. I had the pleasure and honor of staying with them in their beautiful, expansive condo right there across the street from the event. And so I loved staying there. I was there for almost 3 weeks. I was able to, because I'm putting together a film about the day of being as well.
Yeah, of course you are.
Bringing it to life. Why not make a film about it? You know me, I'm a storyteller, and I find that filmmaking is one of the most compelling and dynamic ways to get a message across, a story across. Also, if you do it right, it will help put people in the right side of their brain where they're open and creative to receive and to like even go into a trance. Versus left brain, which is closed logic, often even a bit, cynical. So to keep people storytelling, now one of the best storytellers that I am aware of, parable wise, was Yeshua.
Oh yeah.
And he knew how to do that. So back to what you were saying, I had the pleasure of helping them with their event, and I got to meet some really incredible people, incredible tribe that I know I'll be friends with, and maybe even collaborate, co-create. Beautiful. And a theme behind, so I can tell you this wholeheartedly, that Zach and Sue have for this is what we're creating now in 5D New Earth, which is there's no competition, there's no ego. This is about coalescing ideas, coalescing energy, and a community. And so we're here to co-create and collaborate. And so those are the types of energies that they were inviting in. And I completely 100% resonate with that.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Well, I'm sure when we talk about the kids, that's what I feel like with the classroom too, creating a space like that. But real quick, the video that you're making about it, are you going to show the behind the scenes stuff, like all the work that went involved? Like, do you show that stuff?
If they want me to.
I guess that's the Scorpio in me or something. I'm like, I appreciate, like, there's so much sweat that went into this that's not seen. And not that it's taken for granted, because you say that's tribe, they appreciate, but just a gentle reminder that a lot of work goes into that. And our whole bit on authenticity is, I bet you at one point they didn't even complain. They were probably like just still outpouring of strength and energy and organization and all these things, because they knew they were doing something great for everybody. So it was all worth it, the sweat.
Yes. And I appreciate them even more as leaders, because they both are, and founders of this event. And there's a lot of moving parts and pieces, right? So a big shout out and thank you, appreciation to Zach and Sue.
Oh, you know what? I'll tag on Sue a little bit here, because I did do an episode with her, and she and I both are working in learning centers, and she is a leader and owner, and works at a learning center for children, and talk about finding your tribe. She's getting these energies together at this place, and doing a service for the community, because a particular school like this, it's not common. So shout out again to Sue for really. That's triple hats right there. They wear a lot of hats, and they're always smiling. And like you had said, because I asked a little bit about you guys at lunch, if you're watching, she's like, oh, they're so funny, but with each other, they have a good laugh with each other. And that's high vibratory right there. Yes. So, so we're talking about being authentic with your businesses and with your tribe and with your people. I think you're getting our general theme here of how we're going. Where should we take that next? Maybe because that took me a minute to get myself going. We should talk about looks.
Oh yeah, I think that's a great one.
So I was like, I've never done this before.
Authenticity. Well, yeah. So we're kind of winging this one. We had a vision for how it's going to turn out. We're sweating on the camera. We're sweating from the tea and the Indian food. Here's a good chance. I believe this is a big one. This is a big trigger point and pain point for people, is needing approval, fear of criticism, having the looking bad program publicly. And so this, as far as authenticity goes and being real and genuine, a lot of people struggle with, and maybe even, unconsciously, because we've been so programmed and indoctrinated since we were children, society, media, family, schooling, unknowingly or knowingly, that you're inappropriate or you're wrong and you have to be this certain way and look a certain way. And so that indoctrination, some people never release that even through their entire lives. They're still going to, many decades later, the therapists and this and that, they haven't let go of what's happened, from childhood. Yeah. And I think that a lot of kids, they just want to be real. Yeah, that's innate for them, And so they're beautiful spirits of that authenticity and power, because I believe true authenticity is powerful, gets chipped away at them so early on. And one of them has to do with appearance, what we look like. And you see little girls now trying to emulate what they're seeing in the media and around them. I'm not good enough because I'm not skinny, or I don't have the makeup or the clothing. You're talking about clothing earlier, all these certain things that they're trying to fit in, and maybe they don't feel real, but it's, peer pressure. It's, and the influence is intense these days.
Yeah, I was sharing, it was back to school time. And so you see not just what's on display out there in a consumerist point of view of the looks and the style and what you got to be to have the latest, but the kids feel the pressure when they go to school to keep up with the Joneses. And instead of trying to fight those exterior, consumeristic advertising and, the big agenda out there, I got to look at the kid and say, well, where's their confidence? Where's their confidence to be uniquely them? And, I have had the fortunate opportunity to choose an education system that does champion individuality. And, it's, you do get a little bit of everybody. And when you do see someone totally conform to a trend, they stand out more as like, what's wrong? So I've seen both sides, and I've been the kid trying to keep up with the Joneses. I was a kid raised with the exterior just because, and bless her heart, but my mom knew no better because she was raised that way.
Okay, they're perpetuating cycle.
Yes. And so I feel like I'm helping chop away at that kind of programming with my own daughter. However, I find myself also reverting back to it. The struggles just to start, do I look okay? And then, seeing even my girl go out and be like, oh, sweetie. And she's like, Mom, I'm like, you're right. You're right. It's confidence. And that's the root of what I would much prefer my daughter to step out that door in absolute confidence with her yellow plaid pants and her purple Argyle top and her just like, Papal, this is me.
This is me. Unapologetic.
Unapologetically authentic. And that looks good. That looks good on everybody. So yeah, there's so much programming that still has to come out. But
I had an opportunity talking about programming. For me, I realized like it's really ingrained. The image, especially with, certain businesses that I've started, and, we're both public on social media, we speak, we create, and, obviously the first thing people see is the face, but however, I believe it's the glow, it's the inner glow and radiance of someone that makes them beautiful, that you can see their energy. And that's an internal thing that becomes external. I had a really great opportunity through a little bit of School of Hard Knocks when I was walking on the Camino de Santiago across Spain apparently I like to walk across countries.
I love it.
Pilgrimage. I was documenting every day and making videos about my day. And now if for 40 days as a pilgrim, you're going to be pretty rough. You're walking up to 20 miles a day. You have everything in your backpack, so you don't have a lot. Obviously no makeup, not a lot of, you're not going to put a flat iron and a hair dryer. You have to carry it. So the heavier the weight, the more pain it is on your body.
Plus you don't know where you're staying, right? Sometimes they're not going to have the power. You just don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, every day is a mystery. And I love it so much. And I had the intention, okay, this is my first pilgrimage. I'm going to shoot every day, put a video out. And there are days where you didn't get any sleep because you're sleeping in a room full of 50 other pilgrims that are stinky and snoring and bunk beds pushed next to each other. And, it's like you're tired. You can see that you're tired. You got crazy hair, maybe allergies, sniffles. Like I would grab my backpack, walk out the door in the dark, not even look in the mirror. And I know I'm going to be accountable and making a video. being okay with knowing that I look rough. Yeah. Like I don't
rough
even
according to
right. I don't even know what I look like. And it was so liberating, Heidi. It was such a liberating experience, and it really changed me because I chose to be vulnerable. And I believe vulnerability in that sense is very powerful, not weak, to be authentic and real just as I was. And, I did get some criticism on all my platforms. I had some people telling me, oh, your clothes, they don't do anything for your figure.
Were these strangers, by the way, too?
Like
that says a lot, too.
I'm not out there to win a fashion contest. I'm trying to survive the day.
You had an insect bite, too. Like
on my eye.
She was like, hey, everybody, here I am again.
Well, what it did, I got bit on the eye. Actually, more than once.
Oh, geez.
By a spider. I was very vulnerable and authentic with my emotions. There was a day I had my journal stolen, and it had like my curriculum for my workshop that I was teaching live in the Camino, and ideas, and it's that's personal.
Oh gosh!
And I was visibly upset on camera, and people came out of the woodwork. They're like, "We really like to see this authentic self." Now, when I cry on camera, my first day, like snotty, ugly cry, people loved it.
People are so great.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, I guess this is relatable because we're so starved for realness, for, authenticity, because there's so little of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's changing, and we're helping to change that because you have someone that's being public and just visibly, powerfully authentic. What I sense, like when I see somebody do that, I'm like, wow, I'm impressed. Mad respect. Like I love that. Even if I don't resonate necessarily with their project or what they're doing, I respect someone who is publicly real, vulnerable. They're going for it. And I would uplift somebody like that.
Yeah.
Because there's more and more, I think, that we get inspiration from each other to see each other publicly be that, embody that. But so the more that we can do that, it's going to inspire, and it's going to start like this ripple effect through the world of more and more people deciding, hey, that feels so refreshing. I want that too. Yeah.
Yeah. There's confidence and empowerment behind being authentic. And I know when reality TV took off, I mean, that's been around like 20-some years, but people just wanted to see that. They wanted, can someone just show me someone being real? But even sometimes that gets hijacked.
Staged, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of scripting going on and things, but the shows that are the most successful are the ones where they can't script. Usually they're surviving.
Right.
But it's people want to see people being human and showing a little bit of their flaws, if you call them that, or just them, the realness and authenticness. So
the thing about imperfections are, what is perfect anyway? I remember I got a call from a girlfriend of mine, and she is a beautiful soul. She's a realtor, and she teaches metaphysical classes. And I said, hey, what's going on? And she's like, I'm having a really hard time right now picking some pictures for my marketing, and because they're pictures of me, and I'm feeling like I don't like how I look. And to me, I see her spirit, and she's radiant and gorgeous. And to her, she feels like she's put on a lot of weight and not feeling so great about her meat suit, her vessel, right? And so I just sat on the phone and didn't say anything. And she was processing, I could tell.
He letting her figure it out.
And then she started laughing. She's like, Amie, why am I wasting my precious mind share on this? She's like, my friends, my family, my clients, they've met me in person. They know what I look like.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all that matters. Why am I getting stuck and hung up and, having some insecurities when people already know what I look like?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I going to try to hide that or make it different? And I was like, there you go.
Yay.
You figured it out for yourself. And I think that's too. It's like we talked about self-acceptance being so key,
mm-hmm.
necessary. And if someone is fighting themselves or sabotaging themselves, because a lot of that happens right now, and it's been a tough 4.5 years. I won't say tough. I'll say intense. 4.5 years. And so we've seen our species, humanity, go bifurcate in two different directions. We see so many people that are waking up that want that 5D new earth of authenticity and cooperation and coalescing together, working together. We see that big movement, which I love, what we're a part of. We're here to help propagate. But we also see a lot of people that have shrunk into the victim.
Yep.
And the blame and not taking any accountability. And there's a lot of projection that's coming from. And so it's easier for them to project and criticize someone who is being authentic because they haven't gone through that inward journey to look in the mirror, look at themselves and accept. I have to be really honest with myself. There's some things that I don't like that I have been being.
It's humbling yourself. I'm going to go so far as to say too that it was cool to cancel the authentic ones because it's hard to sit with your own thoughts. It's hard to sit and then especially publicly just share yourself and not care what comes back and then do it again and then do it again and then do it again. And that's intimidating to people because then they feel, well, but my armor that I put on, my whatever I do with my meat suit or whatever kind of tone I project when I leave my room, that's my being. And you're making it seem like I don't have to do all those things. And, it gets people to question their own choices. And I think what you were saying too, sitting with their own thoughts. I mean, I think I'm picturing our walk back from the 80 restaurant. I'm like, what were all these genius things I was going to say?
If we had a camera going for that, we did. There was so much.
But I get exactly what you're saying. And with the cancel bit, we've been riding this wave for so long, and it's not about getting these platforms and get as many likes. It's reaching as many people as possible because we are literally getting the notations from people going, thank you. Thank you for, and don't stop. And so it's like this drive. So when we come across these closed doors or, getting shouldered out of the cool kids club or anything like that, I think we've gotten ourselves to the point where we're like, oh, I feel bad I have empathy for them.
Yes.
It's no more like, what have I done? Which I don't think it really ever was. It was more of like, I'm going to have more drive now than ever. But really, I'm going to create even more. But there, see some friends eventually go, what am I not doing that's good enough? And it's like, you're nothing. You're doing everything right. You just got to get through that hurdle of being surrounded by insecure people who are relying on a facade to get them to the next step. And we're literally saying you don't have to do that anymore. That's gone. The keeping up with Jones's era is gone. Just like the forced red pill days are gone. It's authenticity. That's instead of SEXL and authenticity cells.
Well, it's relatable. It's resonant because it is so real. And just what you were saying earlier. So we were going on our walk and we had this great conversation and we were talking about how there's like several layers of consciousness and how the victim is, projecting, is criticizing, even throwing rocks at your head from behind, right? And this is a good time to practice compassion and empathy because you know that they must be suffering internally. They don't love themselves. They probably hate themselves. So the only thing that they know how to do is to create more pain for everyone else, especially when you're a bright, shining light. It irks the demons in a lot of people that have unresolved wounds and still need to heal and release. Then you got people who we're seeing this, that are moving up from that stage, which is great. And they're becoming more empowered. And this is more of instead of, oh, it's happening to me, boo-hoo, blame, right?
Victim.
Probably put on the facades, lots of masks, right?
To get the hits, the
Uh-huh.
dopamine hit of, oh no, you're wonderful.
Or to hide.
Oh yeah, or to hide.
They're hiding themselves.
Yeah.
They're contracting. They're playing small. And there's a lot of people in that space. When people move up from that, now it's because of me that I am pounding this into existence. I will make it happen, which is better than victim. But the third level that we were talking about, which is it's a more feminine flowing energy, is where we are, and we're encouraging other people to move as well into, is this allowing, surrendering energy, which is you're connected with your higher alignment, higher self, source. And then the downloads that you get, the divine downloads and ideas and power that comes through when you surrender and allow. So now it comes through me. I allow it through me versus it's up to me.
Yeah. Allowing others to be. That was a big theme. I told you the stories would pop up. I knew it.
Yeah.
The allowing others came out recently because my daughter just had a birthday and she was surrounded by some friends. And I got to really get close to some of the gals. There was sleepovers, there was hangouts, but there was a dominating force in that group. And I'm just over listening and being present. And you could feel that energy constantly get that way. And just, it was very imbalanced, but I had the adult perspective now of going through that. I reflected back on being a child and being like, oh yeah, I had a friend that was similar to that. And I remember how that felt. And so I'd watch my daughter not necessarily get small, but the floor was often given to the person who was commanding it, not with grace, but with force. So when we had a moment alone, it was a teachable moment. And I was just, we were talking about it, and I could see even my daughter defend her friend. And I go, listen, there's nothing wrong that your friend was doing. She was being who she needed to be in that moment. But did you ever wonder what makes her want to dominate the situation? Is it insecure? Like we're able to talk.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to do it with my mom at the time because she didn't know any better and I didn't know what to ask for, but I was there and I got to hear it. And I was asking, isn't that interesting? Maybe she literally said in her beautiful letter to you, she's lacking the friendships and you are providing a friendship for her that she didn't have before. And I don't know if she knew how to be comfortable in her own body. And you girls were. And so for her to be bigger was to her to show, look, I can be comfortable too. But for you guys, it was like uncomfortable seeing her try to be comfortable. And instead of with her being gone, because dropping off and, you could hear chatter and things, I go, we can still hold them really close as a friend. They don't have to be like, oh, that person is this weird. And you just say, wow, okay, they are not comfortable with themselves. I am. Let me have a teachable moment with my friend. And it was just really, I hope that came out right, but it was a really interesting thing because I could see my daughter process it too. And then her shoulders get a little bigger, like, yeah, you know what? I love my friend. And also I am pretty confident. She was like, oh yeah, I am a good place for my friend to express herself really big. She just is learning social cues, I guess, is the thing. But,
and it's a different day and age for kids growing up than it was for us.
Yeah.
And even though I had a lot of early lessons in being authentic and being criticized for it, thank goodness it didn't scar me my whole life, right? Or keep me small and not create, because I had some haters by age 5. I was very public with my creations and performances and things like that. And so I remember being around 5 or 6 thinking like, well, I know I'm awesome, so what's their problem? Like,
Yes.
But what it did instill in me, and this has been a chip on my shoulder, I'm going to get really vulnerable right here. And I didn't really release this until it was the end of 2022, but I did. And I was just realizing like, I was simply innately, intrinsically being myself, being the best that I could be. And so when I had so much, haters, or even in, relationships with men, I'd say like, give more, be more, all that. And I would do it. There was a part of me that's like, can't you see how much I'm doing?
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
I allowed that from either haters, relationships, criticism. Like I would keep doing more, not because I loved it. It was because how can I get to a level where people will stop criticizing me or they'll recognize? And I realized,
I feel this.
I realized at the end of 2022, this is like this huge burden. We talk about burdens dropping, like Pilgrim's Progress. That big old burden fell right off, and I felt, 20 tons lighter.
Yeah,
Was that so many people come into this world and excuse me, take a little drink of tea.
Yeah. This is resonating a lot. Actually.
And they don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
Yet they'll tell you how to be. They'll try to control you, criticize you. They don't know you, scarcely themselves. So, and being unique mission journey, getting to know myself very early, really getting to know myself, which I think is a big part of authenticity, your authentic self. How can you be you if you don't know you? But that back to that chip getting smoothed out, right? Is I realized like I was just being the best that I could be. And so why am I going to hold on to any pain or wounds from people mistreating me when they're so unconscious with themselves? Like they didn't even know. So how could they?
That's a big thought. That's a juice. That's a good one. That's going to be a clip.
Soundbite.
Yeah, soundbite. Oh, that's really important. And I loved what you said too. How can you really be you if you don't know who you are? But I think that's the process of being you. And that's what you show. Just being authentic self and sticking by it. That's who I was in that moment. I don't think that excuses bad behavior, but it can allow you to at least expand through a difficult moment and be like, wow, no wonder I was going through that. I had a heartache or a death in the family, or I ate a lot of Indian food. It's just so uncomfortable. I'm just going through the moment. And
I think one thing that I wanted to make sure I expressed here is that when you find someone or a couple people that are really authentically themselves, in their power, vulnerable, cannot give a flying what, and really, and it's hard to find someone that just absolutely does not care. It's not out of apathy. It's out of just, they are so in the flow, in alignment with self. They appreciate themselves. They love themselves. And they just don't want to spend the life force. I mean, it's a lot. It's exhausting to try to get everyone to like you and have the same opinion of you. Like, it's impossible. You could be the sweetest, juiciest, most amazing peach on a tree, and someone's always going to hate peaches, right? Like,
don't eat peaches. They're going to be parasites.
Not everyone's cup of tea. The sooner one gets that, right? And there is someone in my life, well, a few people, but one specifically, which is going to tie in right here because we're staying in his apartment. My brother-in-law. They call him the capybara of humans.
Oh, wow.
The capybara animal. It's like this large rodent type. And you have these memes where you see the capybara hanging out. It's sitting next to an alligator. There's a chicken on its head, a couple goats, cats, like all the animals, that normally wouldn't get along. He's just like, la, 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 nothing bothers me. Just chill all the time, completely fine. That is my brother-in-law.
Wow.
And he is 100% himself for as long as I've known him.
Oh, wow.
And you said to surround yourself with authentic tribe. So I got to hang out with him, he and my sister, and we were all out camping. And I marvel at him because he just does not care what. And awesome. Do you know how freeing and liberating that's got to be?
Really comfortable to be around.
Yes,
it's calm on your nervous system.
And he's not judgmental whatsoever. He's the capybara.
Oh,
everyone
cool.
Gets around. He may find some people very annoying and not choose to be with them, but he could still hang. I still have to work on that in my life because I allow annoying people to trigger me. I'm getting better at that. Or attracting people that are more like-minded, right? But it made me think too. So he's not so much on social media. My sister is, And he's cool with whatever she posts. Like, he does not care what he looks like.
That's awesome.
Does not care.
Yeah.
You know, my sister and I the three of us were just camping, well, very close to your house.
I know.
This last
I
weekend.
can feel it. That's when we had another quake.
Yeah, as we're driving by. And so we're up at Los Padres, and it's 8,200 feet, and there's no cell service. And we're like, yeah, unplug. And the reason I wanted to bring that up, besides the fact that we had fun, laughter, hanging out, no devices, no device addictions, no TV blaring, no notifications going off. Mm-hmm. We were forced to, but it was really good to unplug. So we had this amazing time, but what it reminded me of is that so many people haven't gotten to know themselves, Heidi.
I know.
Because of this overwhelm, bombardment, scatter energy. They're addicted to all this stimulation, which is not necessarily serving them. Mm-hmm. They cannot get still and be quiet within themselves, which is necessary to know yourself and to align, to be at peace. Mm-hmm. Have you seen that?
Oh my gosh, the layers and layers and layers people surround themselves, and then they just talk about bad 5G or something. It's like, no, some people it's the gadget going while this is over here, while the I don't want to talk necessarily about all the EMF crazy stuff, but the clutter.
The clutter.
You're surrounded by the noisy clutter. And sure, of course you can't still your mind in that. And some people are actually scared of hearing their own thoughts.
Yes.
They can't sit with their thoughts because they're afraid of their own personal judgment, or they're afraid of what they're going to hear, which is maybe, you're going the wrong way, or, they might be afraid of their own answers. But I see that all over the place. And it really hurts me when I see children that crave stimulation because they can't get still. They don't have the guidance to get still, and they don't know what it feels like. So when all the sounds go away and they start to get still, they almost just fall apart because they're not used to how to hold that quiet frequency. And I know you were talking about with meditations, you don't have to have a 5-hour quiet meditation in a corner in a super
cave.
Yeah, you can't, or have to drive somewhere and go off grid. But you've got to get comfortable with the voices in your head, and learn how to converse with them, and talk to your thoughts, talk to yourself, be comfortable with yourself. I still have friends at my adult age that don't like to be alone, and it I crave it, but that doesn't make me better than them. It just means I look at them and I wonder, and then I see their demeanor of always needing stimulation, whether it's coffee or TV or a loud restaurant. They don't want to be alone. They're afraid. And I'm like, look into that. Where did that come from? Were you scared as a child, or why can't you sit alone? Because to be honest, and you go into healing modalities and things, we need to be alone to regenerate. And if we're into health and getting ahead in the future, we have to be comfortable with sitting with ourselves, with our thoughts, and in our bodies, and feeling all the creaks and aches, and just getting still with yourself, I think, is part of a healing journey.
It is. And I think it's absolutely necessary. It's a good time to release as well. Things need to come up and out versus like fester inside. And so when someone's just constantly running, staying busy for the sake of staying busy, they never get to do that inner journey. And it's so necessary. Back to the Camino. I've got all these Camino stories.
That's awesome.
I walked 7 now. So.
Wow, that's a lucky number.
And everyone has its own unique theme and lessons. And one thing that I've seen throughout the 7 journeys is that you'll see pilgrims walking, and some of them are deep in meditative thought, or working on something they're releasing, or just walking in gratitude, noticing how beautiful it is. People like to be silent. Some people are going through some serious emotions. Some, divorce, breakup, midlife crisis, loved one just died. A lot of reasons that people will go walk. It's no longer about like the ancient pilgrim for redemption. Well, maybe some people think that, but to each their own. For now, a lot of people go out there for fun. I want to see some scenery and get some exercise and be part of the culture. And what I've noticed is, like, I can tell when I shouldn't be going to talk to another pilgrim, because I sense right away, like, ooh, they need to be in solitude.
Okay.
And I could go days where I would hardly say buen camino, which you say to every pilgrim, at all. It's like maybe that's what you chirp every, couple times in a day, but the whole rest of the day is quiet time.
Wow.
So even though you're moving, you're still being still within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I would see pilgrims on the flip side, this is what you were just talking about, some of those who are still in victim and blame mode that could not shut their mouths. They would hijack groups of pilgrims all the time and just bluster in there with conversation just to like jab every quiet moment with blabbering or their music or blaring something. And so I would watch them. If they ever were quiet, people didn't want to be around them. They were terrified.
Wow.
Because I don't, like you said, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know how to be still and quiet. And silence, as you know, silence, especially silence, nature, walking, it grows our gray matter. It's so powerful. Mm-hmm. And so if anyone that's listening to this, you're like, hey, I'll get smarter if I go walk in nature with silence. Yes, you will. Isn't that a nice deal right there?
Even if you're a city kid, just going for a walk, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to engage. Just sit with your own thoughts and go for a walk. I think I was blessed with that as having a parent that did say when I had conflict to go write it out or go sit with it.
Yeah.
Yell in a pillow if you have to. Or, I did as in my 20s, 30s and being a city girl, I took off. I just had to walk it off to process. And I find that, I think my processing level is a little different now, but I also focus on my kiddos. And I have to say, do they have the right forms of expression? Do they have the right tools to get something out? Like you said, up and out.
Up and out.
And that's why I'm so thankful this summer they've been swimming. Like they just move the energy through and get it out. And my daughter's writing more and my son is actually writing a little bit more, but having a chance to get things out and sitting with themselves without a gadget.
Yes.
Without a gadget, because it is zapping. We can do everybody does shows on that. Everybody does shows on the gadgets, what it's doing. We're on gadgets. Mm-hmm. It also is a tool that can be used as communication. But if we know all of these things, instead of just talking about everybody, we have to start making the choices to heal a little bit from it and regenerate so we can get back to do it again. But
I think it would be really awesome to create programs where it's like a challenge. This last weekend hiking, being unplugged in nature was so beautiful and so wonderful. Like the silence was deafening. I'm like, whoa, all I hear is wind and birds and us laughing. Like, wow. Is to take people who desperately need to know what solitude and silence and being still are and putting them in situations, even family with kids, where they have to go coexist for a week.
There's a good reality.
With very, you can be comfortable in nature and still be in a tent. You don't have to have fancy glamping or camper. And I think a little struggle and hardship is necessary because it brings humility. And sometimes when you can burn through that ego faster, which as a pilgrim, you're in pain every day on the Camino, you're going to burn right through that ego, especially if you're walking for 30, 40 days. Pain, discomfort, challenge will often burn through it faster. And I think like, wow, there's something here. TV show, challenge. I'm looking at it like this could be a good project or business, like where people really need transformation. Oh, and their kids need it.
Oh, there is a good one. I've seen a good one where they take super rich, like spoiled kids and throw them in the wilderness a little bit. That's a good transformative. I mean, this could be done anywhere at any time.
But families to do it.
Yes. Super important. What you said is putting the ego aside and getting through. I think we're watching now these generations when screens and gadgets have been introduced. These generations now are growing up and we're watching how incapable they are of living with themselves because the stimulation has been there since a baby or even in utero. And we're forgetting the ancient thing, the ancient part, the primitive way of being human.
Yes.
And which always comes back to authenticity too. But we're watching this generation grow up now and flail about. And then we're blaming things instead of getting to the root of things.
In addition, you've got a lot of, I'll say, ego and body dysmorphia and all these things because they see all these filtered pictures of people putting out that's something that's not authentic. And some of the filters and the makeup and fake body and face parts, it's to an extreme. They're bombarded with that, and so are we, in billboards, TV, magazines, everything. And so that's, you know, in the back of their mind all the time, like, how come I don't look like that? There's the comparison game. So you call it keeping up with the Joneses. Like that comparison game can cause damage to authenticity and being genuine completely. And it's how do we unwire and deprogram, especially if the kids, if we're talking about children, don't have any good examples with their parents.
Yeah, that's what I think the root is coming from. Or there is the extreme of having, I was also, this isn't my daughter's birthday party, but I was around a family who would be considered helicopter parents. And they're really controlling of this child. They have them in a bubble, basically. They're also a family that pretty much fled here to go somewhere else because California's, they have their description of California. But anyway, I'm interacting with this child, and there was temptations around, whether it was candy or a chip that, this mom would podcast about or whatever it was. All the other children could hold their own. But this child, because he was been in this bubble forever, just was like feasting, had no boundary.
Like rebellion.
Yes. Sheer rebellion. And more like, not even like, that's the devil's food. It was more like, yeah, I want, and then his body, it was I was witnessing, I'm like, wow. And that mother would go just flip upside down if she knew these things. But at the same time, I'm like, that's the opposite extreme of being in a bubble. Right. Everything needs to be balanced. So also with that family, and then the family at my daughter's birthday party, the girl that's very big, but also that's a sad situation because she's overly big because she's not comfortable in her skin. 2 levels of extreme. Yep. But again, I'm asking even my kids, get to the root of it. Why is their foundation the way it is? And what can we do to change that? And I think it comes to the communication, getting it out, moving the energy, a lot of things that these viewers know, but we're saying that what we've been witnessing. And as an educator, I'm trying to make sure that there's an even playing field and that everyone has a foundation that's strong so that they can empower themselves with skills. So I added a couple of subjects there. Yeah.
Well, you reminded me too when you talked about going to the root. When you map it back, all the way back, it always comes back to self-love.
That's where I was going. Thank you.
Because that is the answer to everything. And I believe I know that's like the biggest theme we come into this lifetime to really get is self-love. Yeah. And some people, they've got it from an early age. It's unshakable. They accept themselves. Like my brother-in-law is an example. He had a loving family. They let him be himself. He's a solo world traveler like me. Would live in a lot of like third world countries, seen a lot. And he just is out of the womb. He was like, this is me. I'm at peace and I love myself.
And that's family. His family, his root, came out of the womb, but he must have had that nurturing scale at such an early age. I guess we can't beat ourselves up either as parents of saying, oh no, look what's happened to my kid. But it's never too late to have a conversation with them to get to the root of self-love and teach the self-love, self-healing. Get to that self-work. Get quiet with yourself. Be comfortable in your own skin. There's where their authenticity comes from. Thank you for circling back to that self-love. Because that really that's the theme. And you go back to, that's when we were talking the ancient scripts. It's all do unto others selflessly and through love and loving yourself enough that it can pour out to others. And really the root of things is pretty simple.
It is.
It has to do with love.
Yep. Love yourself. And that could be a journey that takes someone their whole lifetime to get through. I would say the sooner the better. Yeah. You're going to have more joy, more bliss, more power, authenticity, alignment, all the things that we desire. So it feels so horrible when someone hates themselves because it is opposite of what their higher self already knows and is innate. So that disparity, that energy feels so bad because the higher self is like, no, you're perfect, When
you see someone like that, like on the Camino, if you saw someone in that moment, did you try to go in and help them, or did you just kind of let them figure it out themselves? Like the hating themselves or the really loud person, or did you like beeline around them? Like, I hope they figure this one out. Or did you, I don't know. I would let them sink or swim. Like, they got to figure this one out kind of thing.
It depends where I was that day. It depends on a lot of things. Maybe it was a really long, hard day and I wanted to conserve my energy, survive the day, or I was working through something. A lot of times I was creating. And I like to be silent because I'm like in the zone, in the flow. And it feels like a high. It feels amazing. But, if the timing was right and I felt good to speak to someone, I would. Or if someone approached me. That I had, for some reason, the word got out. Like, there's an American filmmaker out here. And she also is like a life coach and a muse. And so people would come find me. Or like, are you her? That one? I'm like, yes, that's me. And like the word gets out. It's very interesting how that operates. And I had quite a few people come that wanted to walk with me just to share their story and ask for advice.
Nice.
And so if they were respectful and cool and the timing was right, I'm like, yeah, we'll do like a muse session here, walking muse session on the Camino. And I was cool with that and happy to help out. And I did play therapist for a bit. I had people seek me out because I guess I was known for that. I had one gentleman that found me in multiple places. He'd buy me dinner, and he was working through the death of his wife that he felt a lot of guilt about and was not able to share that with other people. But he's like, for some reason, I feel comfortable with you. And I'm like, that's good. So back to authenticity. I think that is a draw. As we talk about my brother-in-law being the co-bearer of humans, like his energy does feel safe to be in. And it's non-judgmental. It's just like, ooh, yeah, I like you.
Nice. So
you can tell those type of people because they do exude that energy. It's like a radiance that you can see and feel. So back to the power of authenticity. If you want to become a more magnetic leader, business owner, and whatever your talents and hobbies and skills are, I'd say really lean into the power of authenticity. Practice it being vulnerably, public. And you can do that so many ways in your communications, your relationships, your business, even like something like this, a live stream or podcast, everything that you write or that you post, just check yourself. Like, is this really coming from my highest authentic self?
I have to remember that. Is this going to be of service to others? Or is this a passive aggressive thing because you don't know how else to get it out? Then take a walk. I got to remember that.
That's a good one. Oh, you reminded me one more thing.
Yeah,
I know that
please.
We're coming down to your timeline here. So where we met at the Conscious Life Expo, I was booking it down the hallway of this hotel. I was going to the 5D New Earth panel, and I wanted to get in line so I could get good seating. And I went around the corner and I ran, boom, right into Daryl Inca, who channels Bashar.
Oh.
Like I bumped into him. And I was like, oh, hello. And he's a Daryl. He's not channeling, but he was really cool. And I happened to recently see one of his channels that really struck me. And it was about authenticity.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. And he was saying, if you want to really be authentic and be compassionate to your fellow man, he goes, you've got to stop caring what people think of you. If you really want to be of service and give your gifts as, of service to humanity, you have to let your light shine. It has to be authentic all the way, not holding back, because how will your tribe, your people find you if you're hiding your light under a bushel? Because you're either scared of criticism, ridicule, you've got the looking bad program, less confident, whatever the case may be. He's like, how can people even know what to collaborate with you on if they can't see your light, if they don't see the real you? And I was like, ooh, that's good.
That was good. Yeah.
I resonate with that. Good one, Bashar.
And even meeting you there. So yeah, that was 2023. Can you believe it? So
it was because I was thinking, I'm like, I was in Mexico for a month in 2022. Yeah. That's where I was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, because then that summer I missed you in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. So, but here we are. So there, I mean, I hope this came across as us sharing our insight, our human experience. Again, we know no more than anyone else. We know no less. We're just sharing our journey where we're at now. And something that I think we both chatted about a lot on off channels of what we've dealt with personally with people. They've been challenged by our authenticity. And what I love, though, we never questioned ourselves, though.
Yeah.
It made us put out more content. But also, it was like, this is really important to talk about then, because clearly there's a problem here. And so thank you for riding this wave with us of just sharing these thoughts with us. I'm sure we're talking to you in the chat now, because when this airs, it will be in the chat. And if you did enjoy this, don't forget to like and subscribe. And then I'd love to do this again with you, even if we have to be 2 screens. But I know, we'll be together again.
We will.
Personally. But anything else we should share? I think we covered some juicy nuggets
we got
there.
to some really good stuff here. Yeah. Well, right now, this is great timing and synchronicity that I'm here. I just got to California a week ago. And I've been doing live streams, reels, and more cinematic videos on the superpower of authenticity. So this is one of the themes that I'm working through right now.
Awesome.
And I'll be sharing some really meaty stories and metaphors, very, very vulnerable, because that's how you lead. You lead by example, and you have to be willing, I'll say courageous, and love yourself enough to put yourself out there like that, because there's going to be a lot of people that resonate and get so much value from it that you will inspire. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to irk some demons with people who are vibrating at a much lower level, and they will be the ones, heckling you from the crowd and throwing rocks at your head. So you're going to have both. Mm-hmm. I think that over time, you and I have just become so absolutely invested in what we create, our passion, our purpose. And when you are there, you don't have time to criticize anyone else. Mm-hmm. You're just in the flow. You wouldn't even think to criticize or put down. It's all upliftment. It's all creation. So for those that have not yet gotten into the flow and are not tapping into authentic self, it's a pretty good deal if you do.
Yes.
I mean, life is amazing.
Yes.
And as a, little cherry on top, I say, take that inner journey, get quiet, get to know yourself, and whatever it is that you need to release, to let go of, any last bits of unforgiveness, or even forgiving yourself, which I think is really important. We do a whole show on that. Is the sooner that you can get lighter, cleaner, liberated internally, you're going to have so much more power and energy in your true authentic self to go out there and create those dreams, create your vision that you have for your life, and experience so much more joy and harmony and bliss. And isn't that the point? Don't you want more joy, harmony, bliss?
And there is an all ages audience waiting for guides in that sense. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to stepping into my next level of mission with being authentic in front of a classroom of children.
Yes.
Because they are craving authentic adults to show them how empowering it is to be authentic and to be confident in our voices, confident with our knowledge, and confident with our interactions with each other, because they will call you out. They will call you out. And I'm really excited. So that's my next journey, is taking that on head first and sharing that, my journey.
Beautiful.
And this might be one of the last few interviews before I start stepping into that. So thank you, Amie. This is a good way of getting into it, because honestly, that is, any educators out there, step into your power of authenticity. Just be real, because children will not listen to the education part if they feel the adult in front of them is not being authentic themselves. That goes with parents too. So I got a couple of weeks to get still with myself and make sure I have the right frequency in front of them, because there's generations that need us right now. Mm-hmm. And if we keep talking about this earth that we want to see down the road, then we have to be creating it now.
Yeah. Embodying it now, living it now.
Yeah. So perfect way to upstart fall.
Yeah, and then we got to do this like
I know.
It worked out really well.
Check. It did. This was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for playing. I forgot. Yeah. Okay. So, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Amie. And I guess we'll catch you on the flip side, everybody. Thanks so much. I look forward to doing this again, Amie.
Me too.
Thank you for being here, everybody. Oh, Amie's with Chills, adventures at Amie.com.
Thanks for that shout out.